Hey guys, what's up? Avi here, and welcome back to this LangChain series. In this video, we're going to cover the other type of agents in LangChain, which is called the plan and execute agent. How they work, how we can use them to answer complex queries, and we'll play around with some current event stuff using the SERP API and Google searching. Let's dive right in. So plan and execute agents work by first planning what to do and then executing the subtasks. Let's say that we have a question we want to answer, which in our case is going to be, where will the next Summer Olympics be hosted? What is the population of that country raised to the 0.43 power? Now, for that question, again, if you were to use a normal large language model like Text DaVinci 003, there's a lot going on in that question. You first have to decipher the country of where the next Summer Olympics will be hosted. Again, that's a current event question that will change from every 4 years. Then once you have that country, you have to get the population of that country, which might be a Wikipedia question. And then you have to raise that to the 0.43 power, which would be a math question. So the steps that might be formed from this question could be search for the location of the next Summer Olympics, identify the country, search for the population of the identified country, raise the population of the identified country to the 0.43 power, and then return the result of step 4. So that's kind of how plan and execute works. They're based off of the plan and solve paper, and a large language model is always doing the planning, and there's always a separate kind of executor that's doing the execution. So there is a model for planning and a model for execution, and then plan and execute combines the two. So to answer the question that we just proposed around the Summer Olympics, we're going to go ahead and set up a SERP API account. The SERP API is an API that allows us to use Google Search to scrape search engine data. To get started with this, you'll need to register an account and sign up with either GitHub or Google. The verification process for this is a little bit complicated. You do need to verify your email and phone number, but it is a very powerful API. So go ahead and do that. And once your account is created, go to your dashboard and copy your private API key. Just like we've done before with Hugging Face and OpenAI, you're going to go ahead and create a new environment variable on REPL.it called SERP API _ key and set it to the key you just copied. Alternatively, you can also use the os.environment that we've talked about in Python to set this value. With all that done, we're ready to start writing our code. We'll need to import a few libraries first. So there's going to be a lot going on in this tutorial, and I'll go ahead and kind of write out code first, and then I'll explain what's going on. So first, let's get all of our imports going. From langchain.llms, import OpenAI. From langchain.chatmodels, import chat OpenAI. From langchain.experimental.plan and execute, import plan and execute, load agent executor, and load chat planner. From langchain.agent.tools, import tool. From LangChain, import LLM math chain, and then from langchain.utilities, import Wikipedia API wrapper, and then SERP API wrapper. We're going to initialize our LLM to be the basic one we've always seen, OpenAI, temperature set to 0. And then let's initialize our tools. So LLM math chain should be equal to LLM math chain dot from LLM, where we set here the LLM that we're using to again convert our prompt to Python code that will be executed and returning a math response, and verbose is equal to true. Then we're going to go ahead and say search is equal to SERP API wrapper, and then Wikipedia is equal to Wikipedia API wrapper. So now we have LLM math chain, search, and Wikipedia, 3 functions that are ready to go. And now let's go ahead and create an array of tools that our agent will take in. So we're going to say here tools is equal to, and then in a list, initialize 3 tool objects. The first one is going to be called tool, whose name is search. The function is going to be search.run, and the description will be useful for when you need to answer questions about current events. Our second tool will be Wikipedia. So tool, again, name is equal to Wikipedia. Function will be wikipedia.run, and the description here will be useful for when you need to look up facts and statistics. Last but not least, our calculator. So tool, name equals calculator. Function is equal to LLM mathchain.run, and then the description here will be useful for when you need to answer questions about math. So what we're doing here in the plan and execute agent is we're creating 3 tools from scratch. Again, the functions themselves are not coming from scratch, but we're defining the name and the description, which is required for each tool. And then the function comes from what we imported, the LLM math chain, the search, and the Wikipedia. Now that that's done, we can go ahead and move to the final stage, initializing our model, creating the planner and executor, and then finally putting it all together as our agent. Now, one thing to note here is the model we used for our LLM math chain was the basic OpenAI model, the Text DaVinci 003. With that model, there is no memory. There is no history of the conversations that have happened. There's no context. We're simply taking in a prompt and converting it to a Python equation that can be run. However, with the planner and executor models, I think it's recommended that we use the Chat OpenAI model. And the reason for that is because the Chat OpenAI has the history, it has the previous conversations that are going on, and so our models can then leverage that previous information to continuously improve and figure out, are we on the right track? We'll talk about memory and chat-based conversations in the next video, but for now, let's go ahead and initialize our model to be Chat OpenAI with a temperature of 0. And then let's create our planner and our executor. Our planner is equal to load chat planner, passing in our model, and then our executor will be load agent executor, passing in model, tools, and verbose equals true. So again, remember, the plan and execute agent initially creates a plan, figuring out what steps are required to get to the answer, and then it utilizes an executor, a separate agent that goes through each of these steps and figures out the best course of action to take with the tools given, executing each one and getting a response. So with that said, we now have our agent created, that is using the plan and execute creations that we've made. And now we're going to run this on our prompt. So we're going to say here, agent.run, where will the next Summer Olympics be hosted? What is the population of that country raised to the 0.43 power? If you go ahead and hit Command Enter, let's take a look at what happens. So it says here, entering a new plan and execute chain, and then we can see here the steps. The steps include searching for the location of the next Summer Olympics, identifying the country hosting the next Summer Olympics, searching for the population, raising the population to the 0.43 power, etc. As we scroll down, you can see how there comes an action, an observation, and a thought. And that is the genesis of how the plan and execute model functions. So the action here is search, where will the next Summer Olympics be held? And then an observation is recorded. And then the thought proceeds. And by using the chat model, it can continuously use these observations and thoughts to build and build until it thinks it's cracked every step and the value it needs. So as we scroll down, we can see how it goes from and improves the action inputs and the searches to get the 2024 Summer Olympics will be held in Paris, France. And then from there, as we continue, we see that France is the country. And then from the country of France, it uses Wikipedia to get the population. And then once the population is found, then we can see how the LLM math chain gets called and we get our final answer. The last thing that I want to touch base on is, when do you use which agent? In this video, we covered plan and execute agents. In the last video, we talked about action agents. Plan and execute agents are best used for complex or long-running tasks, where there's some long-term objective or focus. You want to think of all these steps beforehand and then execute them one by one. Action agents, on the other hand, are great for small tasks, where you have kind of a clear idea of what needs to get done, and as the information comes in, you can work your way to the goal at hand. So that is agents in a nutshell. In this video, we understood the plan and execute agent. We created all of our tools. We initialized both the planner and the executor, and then we ran this on a very creative and complex prompt where our LLM succeeded. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.